In starting items, I recommended that you give one of the observer wards to your mid laner or place it in the mid lane for him. This is because it not only helps spot for ganks, but he can also use the uphill vision to use the enemy mid laner to perform aggro tricks with the creeps, and this helps him win the lane. Whilst it's very useful in daytime, when it becomes nighttime, having a mid ward is literally essential. It's so much easier to be ganked at night because you have much less vision of approaching enemies. Observer wards last 6 minutes, therefore if this initial observer ward is placed right at the start of the game, with the minute and a half of pre-game, it's going to expire around about 5 minutes into the game. The day-night cycle is every 4 minutes, so it turns night at 4 minutes into the game and ends night at 8 minutes. This means that from 5 minutes to 8 minutes, if you don't get a new ward mid, your mid will be playing their lane without a ward at night time, which is very hard for them. So you might be thinking that you should buy an observer ward on the courier, walk mid, and then place the ward for your mid. The problem is, unless you know you can successfully gank the enemy mid laner whilst doing this, it's very time inefficient. At this stage of the game, just before 5 minutes, you likely still don't have boots, potentially, and also if they have an annoying offlane, it can be bad to leave your carry for the time it takes to walk mid and walk back. Therefore, a trick you can do is to just buy the observer ward for the mid laner. You can buy it at around 2 or 3 minutes and just leave it on the courier and then wait for them to call it to deliver their new items around the start of the night time. I'll show you this video in slow motion of the buttons to press to essentially get the courier to deliver their items, give them an observer ward as well, and then go back to base in one smooth action. So it's pretty simple, it just involves shift clicking. So here I have the courier selected. You see in the bottom right there is this sort of button where it lets you tell the courier to go to certain places or deliver to certain heroes. So what I do is, you can see it's got Lina's raindrops and Aquila on it. I've put this Warden Sentry on. I then click here, click Lina, and then whilst holding shift, you see that I drag the wards onto Lina. Then you can either, while still holding shift, press Q. Ignore me dying whilst doing this. You can either press Q, so it goes back to base, or here, I then click for it to deliver items to PL. And you can see that even though the Obs and Sentry weren't bought by Lina, they were bought by me. The courier does one smooth motion, gives the mid laner the ward, and then would go back to base or goes to wherever you sent it. Here I sent it to PL. In fact, this technique of shift queuing, reusing the courier, shouldn't be limited to giving the mid laner a ward. You should use it in the mid and late game as well, when you want to bring wards to yourself, or the courier bring items to yourself, but you don't want to hog it. So you just put the wards on the courier, then you wait for teammate to use it. Once they've used it, you then call it yourself and shift Q with this button to send it back to them.